Hello everyone and welcome to our house. I'm again your host Chris Will, joined by Matthew Schwam. But Ethan's out of town right now, so we're bringing in our friend from Make Your Point, Adam Avon. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Chris, Matt. It's great to be here. I got my Gator merch on. I'm Ethan for today. I came prepared.
Yeah, I was thinking I'd be safe wearing my Gator stuff since Ethan was gone, but Adam kind of filled the void. So now we're both wearing Gator merch. Kind of awkward. We got a lot of great stuff for you today, so sit back, relax, and welcome to our house.
In the huddle, you know they in trouble, we bustin' they bubble. I know that we playing a game, but this gon' get real and turn into scuffles. The way I'm gon' touch you, every tackle I make gon' turn into fumble. They turning over the ball, my defensive line make sure that I score. Now all you gon' hear is a roar. The crowd is in awe. What did you think was gon' happen? I don't know what you thought. You see, this is more than a sport. You made a mistake, you walked in the door. This come with a cost, you taking a loss. Let me remind you where you are. This is our house. This is our house. This is our house.
Alright, so we're going to jump right into the first part of our show called What You Got. This is a part where we each brought a story this week, something that we found interesting. I'm going to start with our special guest, Adam. What you got?
The story that's been so powerful and inspirational to me this past week, the past 2 weeks, has really been the whole story with Bubba Wallace and NASCAR. If you don't know the story, a noose was found in a garage at a racetrack, one of his garages, and it happened to just be a garage pole. They used to close the door, but it was fashioned in the style of a noose, and obviously that is not okay. His assistant, person on his team, went and looked at all the other garages, and no other one looked like theirs did. Everyone was just a solid piece of rope. So even though we don't know if it's an honest hate crime, because they had talks with the FBI and stuff, it's still not something that should be happening. But I think the bigger part of it is, even though before we knew, before the FBI came out with that statement saying it was just there as a garage pole, the whole NASCAR community backed Bubba Wallace. Every one of the racers there, they all walked up with him to the front of the race in his car, and it was just so emotional and empowering. NASCAR has brought in so many new African American fans, especially in support of Bubba, and I think it's so empowering for the sport and across sports in general.
Yeah, whether the noose was there already or not, the what you saw from NASCAR certainly can't be taken away. And it certainly was a good message. They responded super quickly, so it was really nice to see. So, Schwam, what you got?
Well, Chris, last week we were talking about how the NBA is ready to jumpstart back in Orlando for the tournament, and now this week, starting to see a little more tension start to rise with that coming closer and closer. Players such as Avery Bradley and among others have expressed that some of them don't want to play in this tournament. And things are looking to get a little bit more sloppy here now. So the NBA certainly does have some things to figure out. However, as far as the Lakers and Avery Bradley, I've heard rumors that the Lakers are looking to pick up J.R. Smith from free agency to kind of replace Avery Bradley for the tournament. And personally, I think that's a good pickup for the Lakers. I think they need another shooter that LeBron can kind of get into the paint and dish to for some nice-looking threes. J.R. Smith has been out of the NBA for quite some time, so it will be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I saw that Nick Young was also putting his hat in the running for that spot as well. But you can't forget, they have Alex Caruso, man. They have Alex Caruso. Yeah, so certainly the NBA is kind of on a strange point right now with players like Derrick Jones Jr. and Nikola Jokic getting tested positive, and Malcolm Brogdon as well. So then now you need to navigate what happens when you find players that are positive. So we'll definitely see what happens with that one. So on to my story. This past week, the Premier League, which is the soccer league in England, started up. And with all that's going on with the Black Lives Matter movement and fighting coronavirus, the players took a very unique stand at the beginning. Well, I should say they took a knee. So as the whistle blew to start the game, every single player on the field took a knee, some raised their fist, and on every single jersey in the front, it had an NHS, which is the National Health Service of England, as basically a memento to those fighting the virus. And on the back, instead of last names, they all have Black Lives Matter. I think the most important thing from this is the sign of unity. Players in the NFL have previously taken these during the national anthem, which many saw as divisive, and some players knelt, some players didn't kneel. So I think the biggest thing we can take away from this is that if we find a way for everyone to take the same stand, I think showing unity is the biggest thing we can do right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Chris. I think that now that the protests and stuff have kind of died down, you've seen a lot more unity and a lot more coming together and agreement on the same issue. So I think things like this are really starting to help us get back on track.
So now we're gonna shift over to a game I have for you guys. I got a couple celebrities in my pocket. I got some information on them. They've been in the news, so I'm gonna give you guys some hints and see if you can guess them. You guys ready for that?
Better than the last time.
Schwam, I don't know. I think Adam might be a little better than Ethan at this one.
Yeah, I know. You know, Chris, I'm expected to, my goal here is to get 1. Last time I had 0.
You got this. You got this. All right. So our first person is a 2-time Pro Bowler. There's a lot of 2-time Pro Bowlers. So if you got the name based off of that, I'd be pretty surprised. He's also...
I got it.
You got it? No way.
Jamal Adams.
Ooh, no, not Jamal Adams. Nope.
It's not Jamal
Nope,
Adams.
not Jamal Adams. He's an NFL quarterback.
Matt was thinking that too.
I was, as soon as you said the name, I was like, damn, I already lost round 1, man.
But it's not. It's a quarterback.
Oh, keep going.
All right. He was the 2016 Rookie of the Year. This last one should give it to you if you don't know.
Okay, go. Keep going.
He was a 4th-round pick out of Mississippi State.
Dak Prescott.
Yes, sir. Schwam.
Chris, we know how this goes.
Come on, Matt.
So yeah, Dak Prescott has been in the news as the deadline for a long-term extension comes July 15th. The Cowboys are looking to sign Dak, but they've been in disputes over how much, over how long, things like that. He did post a picture in a Cowboys uniform. It is believed that he would sign the short-term contract for, I believe, like $31 million. But the Cowboys are trying to get a longer extension, obviously. So do you guys think he's worth the money he's asking for?
I think he is worth the money he's asking for. Maybe not so much as high as 30 to 35 million, but definitely around 20 million or something. He definitely deserves a long-term contract. His thing is he wanted a 4-year deal, not a 5. They wanted to give him a 5-year deal, so after those 5 years, they can just go and franchise tag him again because he's going to be older. But after 4 years, when he still has a little bit left in him, he can go and sign another long-term deal contract with another team or again with the Cowboys because he wants to continue to make that money. And every time I point out that Dak Prescott literally pushed Tony Romo out of his job and has continued to provide for the Cowboys as a strong quarterback. However, coaching staff wasn't always strong, wasn't always there. The defense has lacked in some years, but I think with the addition of CeeDee Lamb this year, Dak Prescott can make a show and prove that he deserves that contract next year.
All right, so Schwam, what do you think?
I think that I agree with Adam. I think that Dak Prescott has shown a tremendous amount of potential with the coming years that he's been in the NFL, and I think he certainly deserves the money he's getting. Like Adam said, that whole interruption was kind of basically like about the amount of years he would want to sign for, rather than the amount of money. So I see it from both sides, but I think Dak Prescott really does deserve this money, and I think he will come to terms with the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's where he belongs. And I think he's got a lot of unfinished business there. I think he can take that team to do a lot of good things. They have some special receivers that he can hit, and I think that's the place for him to be right now.
All right, so on to our next Guess Who. All right, so this person is a former pro boxer.
Already takes me out of the running. I don't know anything about boxing.
He's currently 53 years of age. I'll give you a little time range from when he bought.
Mike Tyson.
Yes, sir. Mike Tyson. Schwam.
It's just not my game.
This story was made for you.
He's been in the news. He's been grinding lately.
Exactly.
He's getting
Mike
back
Tyson.
into it.
Exactly. So Mike Tyson has been in the news, for the videos he's been posting of how he can still box, and he's actually looking to get back into the game. But additionally, Jamie Foxx has posted pictures of him bulking up to play Mike Tyson in the next film. So Schwam, I was going to ask you, last episode we talked about sports movies, and Creed and Rocky were at the top. So do you think Jamie Foxx is going to live up to the hype?
I think Jamie Foxx can live up to the hype. I got faith in the man. I think it's I mean, I think he can do it. I think he's got it.
What about you, Adam? You think it'll go to the top of the sports movie world?
I think Jamie Foxx is going to kill it as Mike Tyson. He was getting jacked for it too, and obviously he's going to play younger Mike Tyson, but I'm excited to see what he can do in the movie.
Awesome. So Schwam, it's currently 2-0. So I'm going to give you one more chance. So this person is...
Should I wait to answer?
Yeah, you should probably just wait until the end, but we'll keep that on the down low. Don't tell Schwam.
All right.
All right, so this person is a 2-time Pro Bowler. Oh.
Is it Jamal Adams this time?
It is Jamal Adams.
Yes.
I had so many other good facts for you guys, but that's okay. He was the 2017 first-round pick. He's the only player, along with J.J. Watt, to record 200 tackles, 10-plus sacks, and 25 pass breakups within his first 3 seasons. So without a doubt, Jamal Adams is extremely good as a safety for the Jets. But this past week, he did demand a trade over talks of an extension that the Jets weren't necessarily buying into. So he was seen in video in Texas. A Dallas Cowboy fan asked him if he'd be coming. He said he was working on it. So my question for you guys is, what team would be a good fit for Jamal Adams, and do you even think he'll get traded?
So, well, I think Jamal Adams is a very talented player, and I think whatever team he does go to, he will bring something to that defense because of all that talent that he's got there. I mean, he even playing on the Jets, who still haven't been a real contender yet, he still brought something to that defense. Maybe it wasn't much, but it was something. I think if he went to Dallas, Dallas would become quite a good team, and that would be a pretty good move for him. I think he could fit in pretty well at Dallas. They already have a pretty solid defense, and I think with the addition of him, it kind of makes them kind of like a lockdown defense. So I can see Jamal Adams for sure taking that Dallas offer.
The only problem I have with Jamal Adams going to Dallas is that they don't really have any cap space, especially if Dak is going to try and get that long-term deal next summer, or he ends up signing it this summer instead of the franchise tender. Jamal Adams would be a great fit there, you're right, and he would be an amazing piece to that Cowboys defense. But I would kind of look at him more and say he would be a good fit for the Ravens, or a team that is very close to making a Super Bowl. We saw them lose in the playoffs this year. Lamar Jackson wasn't really himself in the playoffs like he wasn't the year before either. But I think I think this is a year for the Ravens where they can make a push, and adding Jamal Adams to that defense with Earl Thomas makes them a top secondary in football.
Yeah, and Earl Thomas and Jamal Adams, that'd be scary. I've seen some headlines about San Francisco 49ers being a potential, maybe the Houston Texans as well. The big thing is that no matter who he gets traded to, that team's going to have to give up a lot. So you're probably looking at a team that's going to want to win right now and will give just future draft picks. So it's certainly fascinating to see where he goes. So coming up, we have some more controversial rankings for you guys, and we have a couple more games to play. So we'll be right back.
In the huddle, you know they in trouble, we bustin' they bubble. I know that we playing a game, but this gon' get real and turn into scuffles. The way I'm gon' touch you, every tackle I make gon' turn into fumble. They turning over the ball, my defensive line make sure that I score. Now all you gon' hear is a brawl. The crowd is in awe.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our house. We're gonna jump right into my favorite game, hot or not. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple takes, and you're gonna tell me if it has some heat to it or it doesn't. So the first one, everyone's favorite father, LeVar Ball, has found his way back onto my timeline, God bless him. And he said that his son, a projected lottery pick, Lamelo Ball, would not be a good fit for the Warriors and he wouldn't want him to go there. My personal take is the Warriors are not looking at Lamelo Ball.
Hot, definitely. LaMelo Ball is going to be a tremendous player in the NBA next season. He's looking to be a lottery pick anywhere from the 1st pick to the 7th pick. The Warriors, personally, I don't think he's going to be a fit for the Warriors. They already got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson's coming back, they got Andrew Wiggins now, and then they have Draymond. If you're really looking for LaMelo Ball, he's a great player and can be a great piece for any team. Put him at 2 guard and move Klay down to small forward and bring Andrew Wiggins off the bench. I think that's perfectly fine. But I'm looking at LaMelo Ball probably going to the New York Knicks. Knicks fans should probably get excited for that. Who knows if they'll even get a top 3 pick, but I think LaMelo would be a great piece there. They need steps to make it for the future, and I think LaMelo is a great player. He's a 6'6", 6'7" point guard who can guard every position on the floor and is a very talented scorer. Or I would like to see him go to a team like the Suns, who have Devin Booker. Make him the point guard there, have him carry the ball up the floor, dish to Devin Booker, dish to DeAndre Ayton down low, and he could be a great piece there too. Devin Booker and the Suns have been looking for a playoff run for many years now. He's only made 1 All-Star game, and I think he's a top 20 player in the league. And with LaMelo Ball, that could be a push for an 8 seed or a playoff run next year. So either of those teams would be good, but the Warriors, I agree with you, Chris. I don't think he's going to go there.
Sean, what you think? Hot or not?
I'm gonna go with hot. I don't think he's gonna go to the Warriors per se, but I do agree with Adam in the sense that LaMelo Ball does carry a lot of talent, and I think he is for sure a good lottery pick in the draft. I do see him going to the Knicks and the Suns. I more so see him going to the Suns, and I think the addition of LaMelo Ball would be really good for the Suns. They can use another point guard like LaMelo Ball, who is a 6'7", 6'6", guard that can carry the ball and kind of do a little bit of everything. He got Devin Booker and LaMelo Ball. That would be a great backcourt, and a nice young core with DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, and LaMelo Ball. And I think that young core can kind of do things over time, and they will possess a lot of potential and play really well together.
Yeah, I personally don't see the need for the Warriors to get a guard. Because they do have Steph and Klay coming back. I see them going for someone like James Wiseman out of Memphis, a center that has that athletic ability. It's a position of need because, like Adam said, they have Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond hopefully is still going to be there. I don't know what his contract situation is at the moment, but getting a center like James Wiseman would certainly be super helpful. So our next hot or not. So the MLB is coming back with a 60-game season. Now, that is not even half of what they would have played. I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. They're constantly slept on. Never one of the teams that's going to be at the top. But the take I have for you guys is, so hot or not, one of these super teams isn't even going to make the playoffs because there's so few games.
Personally, I'm going to say not. 60-game season, it's less than half, 1/3 of the season. It's the same thing like the NBA doing, WNBA, MLS. It's all these leagues that are shortening their seasons and trying to provide entertainment for sports fans. I know there was a lot of dispute with between the owners and the players and coming up with a way to resume the season in the MLB, but you know, a 60-game season is not something that they're used to, and I think it's going to be really unique to see how it plays out. So we'll see, but I don't think this is a hot take.
Sean, what you think?
I could see it as hot because I think it will. It'll definitely be really different without the normal length of a season because it doesn't allow much room for losing. You can't be a super team like you are and go and have a game where you lose to a team where you shouldn't be because there just isn't enough time to make up with that with the amount of games that you have now compared to what you normally do. So I can see how it can really shape the MLB this season in a different direction. So I think it's a hot take. I think it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And yeah.
Yeah, I see a team, so when you think of the super teams, you're thinking of teams like the Yankees, the Dodgers, Astros, teams like that. And for me, with only 60 games, you have players that miss 60 games in a season, and that's normal. You have less rotations for the pitchers, so you don't see your top pitchers as much. So there's not a lot of room for error as opposed to the 162-game season that they normally play. So I personally see one of those top teams just completely missing the playoffs because a top player gets injured or anything like that. So next, So sports are beginning to come back. We see that with the MLB, MLS, NBA, leagues like that playing their stuff. But we're seeing spikes in a lot of these states. I mean, Florida has recorded the highest increase per day. It set a record almost every single day this past week. So, with colleges coming back to campus and players getting tested positive, players in these leagues coming back and testing positive, I see major sports leagues having to shut down again in the future. What about you guys?
That's definitely hot, Chris. I think sports in general is at a major risk right now. The WNBA the past few days have been showing a lot of concern about coming to Florida. Same with the NBA coming to Florida, being in that bubble environment. The main thing is for the players and staff to be away from their families. And especially like we saw with Avery Bradley, whose 6-year-old son deals with a respiratory illness, and he wouldn't be probably medically cleared to go into the bubble anyway. So he says, I'm going to stay back with my family and take care of my kid. Trevor Ariza is going to stay back to see his kid for the month that he can. And so I this is what's going to be happening for the time being. You don't want to be in a bubble for 90 days. The NBA has the best plan to do it, obviously, because you're only bringing, let's say, 30 people per team. All the hotels are there. The players are going to have time to themselves. But for a league like the NFL, for example, who has 53 players on a team, plus a staff of 50-plus people as well, you're bringing like 2,000 plus players plus the staff, etc., to go to wherever they're playing, and they're not even looking for a bubble. They're looking across the country. And honestly, I don't know how that's going to work out. So I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL season gets postponed, as well as college football. As much as I want both to go on, I think those are leagues that are at risk, but I'm excited to see if the NBA can pull it off.
So, Schwam, what do you think?
I think that's definitely a hot take, Chris. I think like me, you, and Ethan have expressed in earlier episodes, and now Adam, I think it's still too soon that sports come back, especially with cases still climbing as they are right now. And even if they do come back, they're gonna get problems like they are now. Like they're gonna get a lot of discomfort from the players, like Avery Bradley and Trevor Ariza, who those like want to stay back with their families and make sure they're okay. So I think either way, I don't see it turning out too well with the return of sports coming back now.
Yeah, you certainly can't lose any respect for the people that are hanging back, and the reasons they have are perfectly reasonable. But especially for sports like the NBA and the NFL, those are like full contact sports. So as soon as one person has it, you know you're probably going to get an outbreak among teams and have to shut down. Now, for sports like baseball, where there's not a lot of physical contact in baseball, you can kind of prevent some things by using your own bat, if the umpire cleans the ball, and most of the times when you're tagging people, you're using your glove. So baseball, I could see having the easiest time keeping it safe, but there's no preventing physical contact in all these other sports. So we are going to move on to some controversial rankings again, because we love those, right? So the NBA is returning. So I have a question for you guys. What are the top 5 teams you think that have a chance at the NBA title coming back? So Schwam, I'm going to start with you.
All right, Chris. So I think the top contender, I'm sure a lot of you will agree, I think the Lakers are the front runner for me. They have a great roster top to bottom. They have a strong starting 5. Even though they are losing Avery Bradley, that addition of J.R. Smith will for sure, I think, make it up. My second one's going to be the Clippers. I'm going to stay in the West Coast here. The Clippers, another one that has another great super team with the Kawhi Leonard, Paul George mix, I think, and as well as their defense with Patrick Beverley, Prez, all those boys. I think their defense is kind of unstoppable, and I think that'll help them in the playoffs for sure. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Raptors. I think the Raptors, although they don't have Kawhi Leonard anymore, that team does have what a lot of teams don't, and that's getting as far as they have. So they have the experience. So you have players like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. They've all been to the NBA Finals. They know what it takes. They have the experience, and I think they can play towards a championship caliber team. Number 4, I'm going to go with the Bucks, and the reason I have them at 4 is because I do think that they have the skill. They have everything they need is there, and they will be a successful team, but they still lack. I think they've been a top contender for 2-3 years now. And I think they just need a little more. I think Giannis needs a little more help from that team. He needs a little more players to pass around to and play with, and rather than just taking it on himself. So I think it'll be a lot of pressure for Giannis in the playoffs, and that's what scares me about the Bucks. Even though they do possess an enormous amount of talent, Giannis is really the cornerstone of that team. And for him to take it all by himself, it's going to be a lot, and they're going to ask a lot out of him. Number 5, I'm going to give that one to Boston. I think Boston has a nice core growing there. I think Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, these are all great players, and I think they've played very well together this year. And they are one of the few teams that have gotten consistently better since that young core first got there with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So I do have high hopes for them. But once again, like the Bucks, the experience is somewhat there. They've made the championships pretty consistent, the playoffs pretty consistently now. And as they continue to do that, I think they will become a very strong team.
All right, I'm going to move over to our special guest now. Adam, what you got?
All right, Matt, I was actually surprised. Your ranking was actually pretty close to mine, and I was kind of shocked knowing how big of a Giannis fan you are. I thought they were going to be at the top of your list. But going to my list, I guess I'll start with 1, 2. The top contender I have that will probably make the NBA Finals is the Los Angeles Lakers, of course. With LeBron James, with Anthony Davis, I just believe that duo is unstoppable. I think they're going to make a real push for the finals, and I'm excited to see what they do. Avery Bradley, the loss of him isn't going to be too dramatic for the team. You know, like you said, Matt, if they bring on J.R. Smith, that could be a good piece, but I think we're looking in the eyes of LeBron and Anthony Davis right now, and we want to see what they do. And I think if them two can match out my number 2 pick of contenders to the finals, Los Angeles Clippers, the duo of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, then I think the Lakers will definitely have an edge on them if they compete in the Western Conference Finals. That being said, the Clippers, obviously Kawhi Leonard's amazing. Paul George hasn't shown up in the playoffs the past few years, and Playoff P, to me, the nickname doesn't really stick with him. But maybe he'll turn around with this team. They got Lou Will, they got Pat Beverly, they got Montrezl Harrell. They got a great team around them, and sharpshooter and Landry Shamet. So I'm excited to see what the Clippers do. That's why I have them at number 2, just because of the talent that they have, but I'm still looking for that experience in the playoffs a little bit. Number 3, and I promise you I'm not just saying this because we're in my hometown in South Florida here, but the Miami Heat at number 3. The Miami Heat have a beautiful young core that they are slowly building up. Player development is a Miami Heat thing. It's their thing. The culture here in Miami is so tough and strong that I can see them this whole time being at home during quarantine, working out, getting back to shape, and when they come out back in Orlando, they're going to be stronger than ever. Especially with Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, even Captain Udonis Haslem, Andre Iguodala, the vet that's coming back, Jay Crowder, Solomon Hill. And we also have that young guys, those sharpshooters, Duncan Robinson, we got Tyler Hero. Stephen A was calling them the new Splash Brothers, and I honestly believe that to be true. The Miami Heat are going to make a major push in the playoffs. That's why I have them at number 3. Number 4, I'm going to have the Milwaukee Bucks at 4. The reason I had the Bucks at 4 is because I think that the Heat can beat the Bucks. Matt, you pretty much tackled everything about the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, they have Giannis, amazing player. They've been a top contender for 2 or 3 years, been the number 1 seed since LeBron left the Cavaliers after that last finals. And the Bucks are a great team. They have a lot of great players. But I do think that the loss of Malcolm Brogdon a couple years ago has been a pretty bad loss for them, even though they're on track to win 60-something games this season. The Bucks with Giannis, I can't see them beating the Heat if they reach the conference finals as of how, or the semifinals, if it's how the playoff seeding is still going to remain. I just think the Heat have the edge. Bam Adebayo has guarded Giannis so good this season. We actually swept the Bucks this season, and I love the Heat. That's why I put the Bucks at 4, just because of the talent that they have again. And 5, I'm going to put the Toronto Raptors. Matt, you made a great point when you said they have the experience now. And I truly believe that. They were on track to win a 50, maybe low 60 season winning season this year. And the Raptors are going to be amazing in this return with Fred VanVleet, with Kyle Lowry, the captain of the team, with Pascal Siakam, and even Marc Gasol, the veteran. They got a great ball movement. The loss of Kawhi Leonard is very tough for that team, but I do believe that the Raptors will push through, and they are definitely my biggest underdog. My number 5 spot was either a toss-up between them or the Celtics, but I just think that the Raptors, because they're the current defending NBA champions, I just think they kind of edge them out a little bit. That's my top 5.
All right, certainly some good teams in there. I do have one team in my list that both of you guys missed, and I have a pretty good reason for it. But I'll jump right into it. So I actually had the Clippers at 1. I think this break has definitely allowed them to heal. There weren't a lot of games this season where Patrick Beverley, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George all played at the same time, and when they did, their record was insane. So hopefully they've all gotten healthy, and if they are, I think they can definitely take down the Lakers. I do have the Lakers at 2. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, there's not really much else that needs to get said. There aren't many teams in the NBA that are ever going to stop that. So within these rankings, I was looking at teams that I thought, if they were to match up in the finals against a team like the Lakers, are they physically capable to defend those players and play offense against those players? So number 3, I have the Bucks. I think Giannis physically is able to take them. I don't think they would beat a Lakers team in the finals, but I think they could definitely take the East because the East is weaker. Number 4, a team that is consistently forgotten, the Denver Nuggets. Now, they had the 3rd best record in the West, which is a Western Conference that's stacked. Obviously, Jokic is sick right now, so hopefully he's able to get back. It looks like he lost some weight, so we'll see what that does to his game. But I think they're a great team. I think they are the type of team that the Raptors were last year. They kind of got slept on. They had a couple just like gritty players that were able to just play hard for them and get the job done. I think a Denver Nuggets team is something to look out for. Number 5, I have the Heat. I think physically, Bam Adebayo and that team is physically capable to take the Bucks for sure, 100%. Now, do I think they'll take a Lakers team in a 7-game series? Probably not. But I think their chances of getting there aren't too shabby. All right, so that's my top 5. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, Chris, I think as far as your 1 and 2, I could see it both ways. The Clippers and the Lakers are both very, very tough teams to beat. And I think you made a good point. The fact that Pat Bev, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard, there's been several times this season where they weren't all together. I think that had a tremendous effect on the record that they had, and I think they are definitely a contender, one that can definitely hang with the Lakers for sure. So I can for sure see you putting them at 1 and the Lakers at 2. As far as Miami, I was really considering putting them on my list, but the one thing that I was saying with my theory about the Bucks definitely applies to the Heat, and I love the Heat with all my heart. That is my team. But and they are making the right moves. They're getting all these veterans that they're getting skilled veterans. They're not getting veterans that like Udonis Haslem that are there to sit the bench. They're getting Andre Iguodala. They're getting Solomon Hill, Jay Crowder. These are players that still have a lot of skill as veterans, and I think they're adding something to the team. However, the last few years Miami hasn't gotten past the first or second round, and for that reason I left them out. That is not to say that I don't think Miami is on the come up and they can't sneak up and take this finals. I think they for sure can beat the Bucks, as they've proven many times in the regular season with a sweep. Bam Adebayo has defended Giannis fantastically throughout this season, and a lot of people can't say that because Giannis has given a tremendous amount of defenders a lot of trouble. And Bam has been able to play great defense on him, and I think that Miami can beat them. But as far as the experience, that's the part that sets me back. And Denver, I think that was a great addition on your list. They're very slept on. The reason I left Denver out on my list is because we did see them get as far as they got last season, which honestly took me by surprise, and that's probably because they're so slept on. But the fold that they had last season, I just won't be able to forget. I think they need another year or two, and if that core stays together in a year or two, listen, I think they can go up there with the Lakers.
All right, Chris, let me talk about your list for a second. Matt, like you said, Clippers, Lakers could go either way. Personally, I just think the Lakers have an edge there. The first game of the whole season that kicked off the NBA season was Clippers-Lakers, and the Clippers edged them out because everyone was healthy and on the floor at the same time. As the year went on, people were injury-prone, but hopefully they used this time in quarantine to regroup. So if that's a Western Conference Finals matchup, I'm very excited to see about that. Number 3, you had the Bucks. Like you said again, Matt, Bam Adebayo is the best player that guards Giannis Antetokounmpo in the whole league. So that's why I had the Heat at 3. you had the Heat on your list, so that's fine. But I just don't think the Bucks. The Bucks can definitely match up with the Heat, but I just think because the Heat have people that can guard the Bucks players. The Bucks don't have people that can guard the Heat's players. We're a very young, very fast team, athletic team, and I think they kind of edge them out a little bit. I know people will probably disagree with me on that, but I really believe in my Miami Heat culture over here. Number 4, Denver Nuggets, you said. The only reason, I think they're definitely an underdog that can make a run in the playoffs. We've seen it the past few seasons. Jokic, Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, they have a great young team as well, kind of like the Heat, for example. Jokic, he lost some weight. He has abs now, his agent said, and hopefully he'll come back better than ever. And I believe that, and hopefully he'll recover fine with the virus. And they said he'd be returning to Denver in about a week, so hopefully he's okay, and will be enough to play. But I don't even see the Nuggets maybe even in a top 10 of my list. As good of a team as they are, the playoff experience just isn't there yet among those players. As far as I'm concerned, there's 2 teams in the Western Conference that can have a chance of making the finals, and that's the Clippers and the Lakers. If the Warriors were all healthy, then the Warriors as well. But anyone below that is pretty much whatever at this point in my eyes. But as for the Eastern Conference, you got the Celtics, who I didn't mention in my list. Matt, you did, and they're a great team as well. The Sixers can make a push. If the Nets were healthy, KD and Kyrie, they can make a push. So there's a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference right now, which for years hasn't been a strong conference, but this season, or next season specifically, is going to be very tough. And as far as LeBron is in the Western Conference right now, and Kawhi and Paul George are teamed up together, I don't think there's 2 teams in the Western Conference that can beat them. So I agree with some of your list. The Nuggets, I don't really see, but that's your opinion.
That's fair. I definitely think it depends on certain matchups. Like, I think the Heat match up with the Bucks in a way that's an advantage to the Heat, but I don't think the Heat match up with the Lakers the way the Bucks would match up with the Lakers. So I guess it really depends on certain days and you got to look at who's matching up against who, because I feel like there's not really anyone on the Heat that's going to guard LeBron and AD, but I think the Bucks with Giannis and Lopez could take that. So I guess it really depends. Certainly a lot more we could discuss, but that's all the time we have for today. It is a very long show today. We'll hope to see you guys next week. Let us know your thoughts. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you, Adam, for joining. Make sure to tune in to Make Your Point over there with Adam. We'll see you guys next time.
This is our house.